Hi everyone. In this class, we are going to see about measurement of force. In yesterday's class, we will see what is the introduction of measurement of force, torque, and power. In that introduction of measurement of force, we will see about what is force and what are the characteristics of force and what are the different properties of force, how we calculate force, and what is the formula of force calculation, and what are the different measuring instruments are used to measure force. Just a small introduction we already seen in yesterday's class. Today we will see what is different measuring instruments are used to measure force, and those constructional details and working operation we will see in this class. First of all, what is force measurement and what are its properties, and what is the formula of force, and what are its units, and what are the different measuring instruments. That means what are the different types of measuring instruments is used to measure force, we will see in this class. First of all, what is the introduction of force? Force represents the mechanical quantity which changes or tends to change the relative motion or shape of the body on which it acts. Force represents the mechanical quantity. The force is an mechanical quantity which changes or tends to change the relative motion or shape of the body on which it acts. That means a force acts on a body. The motion of the body is changed, or the area of the body is changed, or the direction of the body is changed. Whenever the force is acts on the body, it tends to, it is changes to its relative motion or shape of the body or which acts. That means if we act force on that body, it is a pull forces or push forces. You can see this diagram. I am applying pull forces. I am applying pull forces. I'm applying forces like this. I'm applying pull forces. These are also known as tensile forces. Okay, these type of forces I am applying on a body. So the body of the motion is changed. The relative motion of the body is changed, or the shape of the body is changed. Suppose it has some particular area, so we can apply the forces on this condition. The area of the body is changed. That means the shape of the body is changed. The shape goes like this. The shape goes like this. The forces are acting on this direction. If the body has the forces are acting at different directions, it's not at a particular direction. The forces are acting on the body at different directions, angular directions, vertical directions, cross directions, different directions. The forces are acting on that body. Okay, so the shape of the body should be lost. That means the original you can compare before applying the forces on that body and after applying the forces of that body. The body shape is not changed. The body shape is not changed. Whenever we apply the forces on that body, whenever we apply the forces on that body, automatically the shape of the body should be deformed. The shape of the body should be deformed. So in that condition, force is a vector quantity. Force is a vector quantity. Force is equal to rate of change of mass into velocity. Rate of change of mass into velocity. How much amount of mass you are applying, it is based upon the velocity. Okay, so that is mass into rate of change of velocity. Force is equal to, you can separate mass. Force is equal to mass into rate of change of velocity. Then force is equal to mass into acceleration. Force into rate of change of velocity we will written as acceleration. Okay, so that is force is equal to mass into acceleration. F is equal to ma. F is equal to ma by gc, that is the constant, gravitational constant. Gravitational constant, F is equal to ma. So we can measure force is equal to mass into acceleration. So that acceleration we can written as rate of change of velocity. Do you know about mass, or do you know about acceleration? You can find out mass. You can find out force very easily. Okay. If he is giving mass and rate of change of velocity, then we can calculate force. Whatever he is giving, we can calculate force. Okay. So it is the condition of force, and it is the formula. Force is defined as an influence that causes an object to change its rate or direction of movement or rotation. So that means a force is defined as influence that causes an object to change its rate of direction. The direction of the body is changed, the moment of the body is changed. If the body should be rotated, okay, the force acts on the body at different conditions and different areas. A force can accelerate objects by pulling or pushing them. A force can accelerate. That means a object is in a stable position. A object is in stable position. It does not act on any type of forces on that body. If we act forces on that body, it is a pulling forces or pushing forces, any type of forces you are acting on that body, the body should be accelerated. That means the body should be moving. Suppose there is a bike. There is a bike. So the bike is in neutral position. Um, in the back side of the bike, I can push that bike. I can push the bike in forward direction. That means in the rear side of the person or anything, uh, we can push that bike. Okay, the person is pushed that bike. So in that there is no pushing, the bike is in stable position. That there is no pushing. That means the bike is at stable condition. There is no acceleration. Whenever we apply the some force, suppose a human is pushes the bike in backside. Okay, so just a second. Okay, so the force, some amount of force is applied on the back side of the bike. uh, I'm applying the push forces. I am applying some amount of push forces. So in that case, the bike is moving on the forward direction. The bike is moving on the forward direction. So it has some acceleration. That means it is moving. The vehicle is moving. In that condition, the vehicle has some acceleration. In that condition, the vehicle has some acceleration. If the bike is in a stable position, there is no acceleration. Whenever we apply the push forces of that bike, the bike is moving. In that case, it has some acceleration occurred. Okay, so a force can accelerate objects by pulling or pushing. Any type of pulling forces or pushing forces we can apply on that body or particular object. It has acceleration. It has acceleration. And the relation between force, mass, and acceleration was defined by Isaac Newton in his second law of motion, which states that the object's force is the product of its mass and acceleration. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. So, how much amount of weight of the object or weight of the body or weight of the vehicle, any type of component or object you can take, you can measure the mass of that body and acceleration. When how much amount of force we are applying, we can calculate the acceleration of that body. Finally, we can measure force is equal to mass of the body into acceleration. Okay, so what is the force measurement method? It is balancing the unknown force against known gravitational force due to standard mass. Balancing the unknown force, so we can balance the unknown force to known about the gravitational force due to standard mass. And scales and balances works based upon this principle. Applying unknown force to an elastic membrane, spring, beam, cantilever, etc., and measuring the resulting deflections on calibrated force scale, or the deflection may be measured by using a secondary transducers. Elastic force meters are providing ring. So these are the different force measuring devices. Translating the force to a fluid pressure under then measured resultant pressure, hydraulic and pneumatic load cells works on this principle. We can applying force to known mass and then measuring the resulting acceleration, balancing force against a magnetic force which is developed by interaction of a magnet and a current in coil. So these are the different measuring instruments, different measuring methods to calculate force. You can see what are the different types of measuring methods of force. Weight measurement method. First of all, weight measurement method. One is scales and balances. One is scales and balances. In that scales and balances condition, first one is equal arm beam balance scale, and second one is unequal arm beam balance scale. Third one is multi-lever platform scale. Fourth one is pendulum scale. These are the four different types of measuring methods to measure force. And next one, elastic force meter. In that elastic force meter, we are using a spring scale. In that spring scale, in that spring scale, in that spring scale, uh, using this method, we can calculate force and also load cells. These load cells are different types. You can see strain gauge load cell, hydraulic load cell, pneumatic load cell, and a LVDT load cell. These are the different types of load cell. Uh, these load cells are also used to measure force. Okay. So in the force measurement method, what are the units of this force? So the force is measured in terms of newtons or kgs. Force is measured in terms of newtons or kgs or kilowatts. Sorry, newtons or kilonewtons or kgs. These are the different terms we can measure force. And you can see what are the different weight measurement methods. First one is equal arm beam balance. Equal arm beam balance. In that equal arm beam balance, first one is scales and balances. The first one is scale. If the scales and balances, the first one is equal beam, equal arm beam balance. So in that equal arm beam balance, we can observe the diagram. Analytical means analyzing or logical reason With that figure are two pivoted arms point O, and two forces are held at the two joints W1 and W2, taking at the unknown force. W2 as the unknown force. The unbalance in the weight will be indicated by the arm in certain angular distance. You can see the diagram. You can observe this diagram. Force or weight is indicated by making a comparison between the force due to gravity acting on a standard mass and the force due to gravity acting on the unknown force. That means uh, I am taking one standard mass and one unknown mass. So in that equal arm beam balance, it is a known standard mass. I know about this mass. Suppose it is 5 kg of mass. It is 5 kg of mass. I don't know about this mass. It is unknown source. The unknown source means I don't know about this amount of mass. I am placing some amount of mass uh, approximately on that uh, second weight, that is unknown mass. Based upon this unknown mass, we can calculate the based upon this standard mass, we can calculate the unknown mass uh, based upon the pointer and scale. We can use the pointer and scale. We can calculate the unknown mass by using this equal arm beam balance. You can see an equal arm beam balance. It consists of a beam pivoted on a knife edge fulcrum. You can see it is the fulcrum. It is the fulcrum. Fulcrum. Okay, it is the fulcrum. A knife edge fulcrum at the center. A knife edge fulcrum is placed in the center of the equal arm beam balance. Okay, so you can see a right side, a unknown amount of force is placed under the left side of the equal arm beam balance. A known standard mass is placed. A known standard of mass is placed. You can see attached to the center of the beam is a pointer which points vertically downwards when the beam is in equilibrium. You can see the pointer. The pointer is placed in the center of the equal arm beam balance. It is pivoted to the fulcrum. It is pivoted to the fulcrum. So the pointer shows the how much amount of value, how much amount of mass uh, of the unknown mass of weight we can calculate by using this pointer and scale. A calibrated scale is placed of the pointer by measuring the unknown mass. Okay, so it is the point is in equilibrium condition. If the equilibrium condition it exists the when the clockwise rotating moment equals the anti-clockwise rotating moment, that is mass m1. You can see it is one condition. I can divide it this it is acts as L1 and in this acts as L2. L1 and L2. The length L1 it is the distance between the pointer and the left side of the known standard mass, and next L2 is the distance between the pointer and unknown mass. Okay, that is L2. Okay, so the mass it is M1 and it is M2. You can see M1 L1 is equal to M2 L2. M1 L1 is equal to M2 L2. Okay, so we can get M1 is equal to M2. Why? Because the L1 and L2 are equal. The L1 and L2 are equal. Then we can cancel this L1 and L2. Finally, what I am getting M1 is equal to M2. Mass M1 is equal to M2, it is in the condition of equilibrium. It is in the condition of equilibrium. So the equal arm beam balance is in the pointer is in equilibrium state. We can calculate how what I am getting. It is M1 is equal to M2. The both masses are equal. The both masses are equal. Further, for given location, the earth attraction equally on both masses. Therefore, the equilibrium conditions M1 is equal to M2. The unknown source of weights are equal the known force of weights. Some desirable features characteristics of beam balance. Center of the mass of the beam is kept only slightly below the knife edge so as to make the beam a very sensitive indicator for the unbalance. Knife edges are too sharp and clean to realize optimum performance of the equal beam balance. Gravitational acceleration varies with the geographical positions. It is variation being plus or minus 0.3% for the standard value at sea level. Hence, for use a gravitational field of different magnitudes, a slight correction we can observe. Uh, if the accuracy conditions demand for the buoyant force due to immersion of the standard mass in air must be taken into the account. It is usually made only for the careful calibration of masses. Okay, so we can calculate the unknown mass by using we can apply some amount of unknown mass. Suppose it is 5 kg. It is 5 kg. We can calculate it is not in equilibrium position. We can calculate it has 4 kg of weight. Uh, Placing 4 kg of weight, but I don't know about this amount of force. Suppose it is a 5 kg stone. I am placing in this. I don't know about this stone weight, but I am placing the stone in this right side of the plate. Okay, so it has a pointer. The pointer shows the deflection. The pointer shows the deflection. If it has highest amount of weight, so in this plate moving downward direction. In this plate moving downward direction. Okay, I am placing 7 kgs. I am placing 7 kg of stone in this plate. The plate is the right plate is moving in this downward direction. So how much amount of deflection I am getting through this equal arm beam balance scale? I can measure through this pointer and scale. So how much amount of deflection I am getting this calibrated scale. Okay. So it is the force measurement of the using scales and balances. And these scales and balances may be specified in two ways. Uh, Mechanical advantage that represents the ratio of load to power and multiple uh, mass defined as M is equal to power arm by load arm. M is equal to power arm by load arm. That is the distance between fulcrum and the power point. This load arm means distance between the fulcrum and the load point. So it's the typical arrangement of the unequal arm beam balance scale. Unequal arm is used to measure the heavier weight with the help of lighter weights. It uses two arms, out of which one is called as load arm and other is power arm. So unequal arm is used to measure the heavier weight. The highest amount of weights we can calculate by using this unequal arm beam balance scale through the help of a light amount of objects, a light amount of uh, we can use the light weight objects. We can measure high amount of weights. It uses two arms, out of which one is called load arm and the other end is power arm. One is called power arm and another one is called load arm. Load arm is where the load is applied, and whereas the power arm is used to apply the counter weights to balance in equilibrium. So one is power unit and the power arm or load arm. So the load arm is where the load is applied. Where the load is applied, that is the load arm. and where the power is applied, that is the power arm. Okay. There is a pointer for leveling. You can see this diagram. Power arms, load arm, power arm, load arm. So the load is acts on this test specimen. I'm testing this specimen, how much amount of load acts on this object. I'm testing this specimen, so that is the load arm. And it is the power arm, the power point, it is the power point, it is some mass. Okay, it is point for leveling, point for leveling and scale. Okay. So in that unequal arm beam balance, for balance of moments, Ft into A is equal to Fz into B. You can see the test force Ft into acceleration A, that is load arm. It is Ft, test force Ft into acceleration A, that is load arm, is equal to Fz. Fz, that means the pointer force, the point force Fz into B, power arm B, or test force Ft is equal to Fz into B by A, or test force Ft. I can know about this. I can find out this test force Ft is equal to Fz into B by A. So I'm calculating the test force, how much amount of load is acting on this test specimen. It is the test specimen, that how much amount of load is acts on the test specimen. Uh, I'm calculating through this unequal arm beam balance scale. I'm applying a small amount of weight to know about the highest amount of weight of the specimen. Okay, so I'm using a small amount of weight. It is the small amount of weight. Through this small amount of weight, I know about this small amount of weight, and I know about this force, that is Fg. I know, and the power arm. So I can calculate the length of uh, the pointer to the where should I place the small amount of weight, that is the distance between pointer and uh, the small weight of the object. Okay, so I can measure power arm. I know about this, and I know about load arm also. Okay, so then finally I can calculate Ft is equal to Fc into B by A. Ft is equal to Fc into B by A. So then test force I can find out by using this unequal arm beam balance scale operation. Therefore, the test force is proportional to the distance of the mass from the pivot. So how should we balance it? Is M is equal to power arm by load arm. That is, power arm means distance between the fulcrum and the power point, and load arm means distance between the fulcrum and the load point. So from the balance, Ft into A is equal to F into B. Ft is equal to F into B by A. I can get F is equal to Mz into B by A. Okay, so I can find out the test force. And multi-lever platform scale. Multi-lever platform scale. In this multi-lever platform scale, also we can calculate the uh, force. You can see that multi-lever platform scale. A platform scale utilizing a system of levers to allow measurement of the large force. Uh, you can observe the large force. It is the large force W. The large force W. So we can calculate that large force W in terms of much smaller standard weights, and Poise weight WP. and the pan weight WS. It is the WS pan weight and the poise weight WP. It is the poise weight WP. So proper combination of the pan weight and the adjustment of the poise weight lever arm along the calibrated scale is ensured to bring the beam to null or balanced position. To simplify this analysis, let it to be assumed that the poise weight lies at the zero beam position and that the weights W1 and W2 are placed at the positions you can show. The moment equations are as follows. You can see W1 and W2. The moment equation we can written as T into B is equal to WS into A. T into B. You can see T, tension T. How much amount of tension acts as the uh, weight, that is tension T into, you can calculate the, you can measure B. Okay, it is the B. The tension T into B is equal to WS into the fan weight WS into A. It is the A. So, and T into C is equal to WS into F by A into E plus W2 into H. So it is the conditions. So generally the lever system is proportional to the this condition. Finally, what I am getting it is T into C is equal to H into W1 into W2 or HW. Okay. So these are the weight calculation by using the multi-lever platform scale. And you can see essential pendulum scale. The essential pendulum scale in this essential pendulum scale is used to measure force, and how we calculate the pendulum scale. Uh, how we calculate the force by using this pendulum scale. It is a self-balancing and direct reading force measuring device that has when the unknown pull P is applied to the load rod. If the load rod there is a unknown pull P. There is a unknown pull P connected to that load rod. Okay. Sectors tend to rotate due to unwinding of the loading tapes and consequently the counterweights W swing out. Equilibrium conditions are attained when the counterweight effective moment balancer and the load moment. If the resulting linear moment of the equalizer bar is converted into indicator moment by a rack and pinion arrangement. So whenever we can rotate that, we can act the pull forces of that object. So in that rack and pinion arrangement, how much amount of weight we are applying on that object based upon that rack and pinion operation, the pointer is moving. If the pointer is connected through a pinion, so if the pinion is moving whenever we apply the pull forces on the object, if that the pointer is connected to that pinion, the pointer is also moves. So how much amount of we are acting on that object, it is calculated through this calibrated scale. So that is the overall working of the pendulum scale. So uh, in next another types, elastic force meter and proving ring, and also mechanical load cells. These are all discussed in next class. So thank you guys.